I think for the longest time, I never really paid much attention to or care about the type of guitar pick that I used when I was playing. I would just kind of grab what was ever on top of the amp or pick up a fresh pack at the guitar store. That was the thickness I liked. But beyond that, I didn't really evaluate or kind of explore different options or different types of guitar picks. So today I wanted to explore that topic and kind of help walk through decision-making process of finding the right guitar pick for you, talk about some of my favorite guitar picks and why I like them, and then just kind of talk a little bit about why and how I think using certain guitar picks and sometimes certain techniques with those picks can really influence our tone and our sound. So if I think back to when I was starting to play guitar, I was probably using a pick just like this, these Dunlop Tortex picks. They come in a lot of different colors and different thicknesses. This one is a 0.6, which is kind of on the medium light side of things. And that was just kind of the run-of-the-mill type of pick I would use quite often. These picks are popular and great for a reason. The material is really awesome to help you keep a grip on your pick as you're playing, whether it be strumming or picking. And like I mentioned, you can really easily find these in a lot of different thicknesses. So this is a really great entry point for people that just need a pick, that they can hold on to and kind of get a feel for. And these picks have their own kind of sound and feel when you're using them. The material lends itself to being a little bit duller than like a celluloid type pick that can be a little bit more bright or percussive. And as you're going through selecting a pick for your use case, I tend to like thinner picks when I'm doing things like strumming or playing acoustic. The thicker you go with a pick, the more bold the sound is going to be when you're playing. And so I tend to like picks that are somewhere between the 0.7 to 1 millimeter in thickness because it's a nice balance that offers some flexibility whether I'm doing some strumming or more light playing, or whether I'm digging in for some bigger lead sounds or some thicker rhythm or chordal stuff. So for me, that's a really familiar starting point. And if you are just kind of getting into guitar picks or exploring what pick you like or prefer, it might be a good spot to start somewhere in that 0.8 to 1 millimeter thickness and then go up or down depending on the sound that you're looking for. Again, if you're more of a rhythm player, perhaps try a thinner pick. If you're more into lead playing or want kind of a thicker, bolder sound, if you want a quicker pick that's going to not flex as much when you're playing fast lead things, perhaps pick a heavier pick somewhere up in the 2 millimeter or beyond for that type of playing. One of my favorite guitar picks to use was one I just kind of stumbled upon at a local shop, Twin Town here in Minneapolis. The brand is literally Cool, and I love these picks because of the material that they're made out of and also the kind of grip tape like patch that they have here in the blue. It really gives a good grip for holding on to the pick as you're playing. My hands tend to sweat a fair amount when I'm playing, and so I kind of need something that has a little bit of texture, a little bit of grit to it so I can hold on to it. And these are just fantastic picks for how I like to play, kind of an everyday driver for picks. This one is a medium, it's 0.8 millimeter, and again, it's kind of that sweet spot for me of the feel and the sound that I often like from a pick. This next one I'm going to talk about has a fun story. There's a guy down in Southern California named JT. He's a really great dude. I got to meet him a few years back, and he basically had the dream to create a pick that worked for the needs that he and some of his friends were really wanting. A pick that has kind of two voices in some way, and I think that he really executed it quite well, and it's really cool that he even made it happen, because to start a pick company and to kind of go through all the work of just creating a simple little piece like this means I think you have to run like tens of thousands of these picks once you get the mold made. And so he's done that, and he's been able to sell them, and I've been able to carry them at my shop, Little Box. And so we're going to talk about Coarse Picks. This is, like I mentioned, kind of a two-sided pick, an interesting shape, but you have on the top, or whatever side you call this, you have on one half of it a gritty kind of textured part, and then you have a smooth part on the other end that sort of is reminiscent of a normal guitar pick here. And so you have the option to play on either side and pretty easily flip between the sides even while you're playing. And so I use these picks a ton because the smooth side is a really great kind of familiar sound and feel. And then you have this textured side that really gives a cool tone and texture to your playing. You can use it to dig in and get just kind of this like hairiness and this grit added to your sound without even doing anything with pedals or amps or otherwise. It can be that kind of icing on the cake to a big lead part or to a big textural moment to add a little bit of a dynamic and grit and kind of hair and texture to that. So it's really fun to have that right at your fingertips and be able to just dig in with that gritty side, that coarse side, and experience those tones and textures. Another brand I've come across is a brand over in Europe called Rombo Picks. They've been doing these really cool designs of picks for a few years now. Been carrying them at my shop, Little Box, and they do variety packs of these picks, so it's a really fun way to kind of get exposed to different thicknesses, different styles, different textures, and that sort of thing. They have picks that range from this model that is a pretty thin pick, would be great for acoustic playing or just kind of light strumming, but has an interesting kind of diamond design here that gives a nice texture to hold on to. You also have other designs and shapes like this. This is a thicker, probably somewhere between 1.5 and 2 millimeter pick that again has a kind of interesting like grip spot here on the top and a pretty pointed edge at the bottom there to give a unique timbre and tone to your playing there. So Rombo is a really cool brand if you're wanting to try a whole smattering of different designs and thicknesses of picks and just kind of get a feel for the things that you like and don't like. That's a cool starting point. They're colorful, they're fun, they come in variety packs that you can kind of sample and try out. Well, a lot of these picks are really affordable. I mean, we're talking like under $1 a piece, or you get a pack of 6 or 10 of them for a few bucks. You can spend up to 20 or 30 bucks for a pack of picks, or even a single pick if you go and deep dive into the world of guitar picks. I haven't gone that deep to kind of explore all the different avenues and different types of the kind of boutique guitar picks, but I do think the ones that I mentioned are really fun kind of next steps into the world of guitar picks, finding the ones that really work for you, whether it be the feel and the grip of them, whether it be the texture and the tonality of them when you use them to play. But I want to kind of step back and say that you can also just sort of re-examine the way that you're using your own guitar pick. If you found one you like, remember that you can always mess around with how you're holding the pick, with what side of the pick you're using, with what angle you're playing at, and that might be for a whole nother video, but I love to kind of remember that and bring that into my playing at different times, whether it be using the blunt end of the pick instead of the pointy end. You can get different sounds and textures from that, whether it be playing lightly, playing more heavily, whether it be using kind of a non-traditional pick for a non-traditional purpose. Like I mentioned, the thinner picks I tend to use on acoustic, but perhaps you bring that over into electric for a part, specifically to give it the feel and kind of the sag and kind of the lightness that those thinner picks offer. You can just experiment and play around with them, and the beauty of guitar picks is that they're so affordable and relatively easy to find. And so this is kind of an invitation to you and to myself to remember that that small piece of the variable, that really approachable and easy to come by piece of the variable, is something that we can experiment with, play around with, and find new sounds and new tones from, just from doing that. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Were there any of the picks that you saw in this video that kind of stood out or piqued your interest? Do you have a favorite guitar pick that you like to use? Drop it below in the comments. I'd love to hear about those picks, and hit subscribe below if you're new to the channel and want to keep up with future videos. Take care, and we'll see you next time.